Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Nobu Kumalo and thank you for joining me. Thank you so much to all of you who subscribed after my call to subscribe. Yay, the channel is growing. I really appreciate it. So one more thing which is for your benefit. You will see that right at the bottom right, close to the subscribe button, there's a little bell there. If you click that bell, what happens is that each time I upload a video, you'll get a notification that I've uploaded a video, and that way you will never ever miss any one of my uploads. Let's get straight into today's video. So today I am putting on my lawyer hat. I am sharing a little bit of some legal knowledge for your benefit. So one of my friends asked me on Friday, the past Friday, asked me about preparing a will, and he was asking if he needs a lawyer to finalize the will. And I thought, this is actually a very important question, or rather, I liked the way he's thinking about life because he's relatively very young, and he was saying he's drafting his will and he wants to finalize it. And I thought, this is not typically what a lot of us young and even much older people do. A lot of us just, leave our estates to chance, and we all just believe that, when we're dead, they'll see what happens, And so I thought maybe this is a good chance for me to sort of educate my people about the importance of a will and how easy and simple it is to draft your own will. So first things first, I think let me demystify some of the myths people have about a will. So I think one of the first things is that when people think about a will, they think it's this very complicated legal document, right? Which has a lot of legal jargon and very, sophisticated and all that. And I'm here to tell you that it is not. A will can literally be anything. A will is an expression of your wishes about what should happen to your estate once you are gone. It can literally be as simple as, I leave everything to my mother, Tembegile Svanda. ID number, this, that, and you sign and you're gone. So a will is a very simple document. Then the second thing, I think people think a will is a very expensive document to draft because it involves a lawyer. That is not true. You do not need a lawyer to draft a will. You can draft a will yourself, and I'll get to the requirements of what you'll need for your will to be valid. But basically, you do not need any lawyers to help you drafting your will, so it does not have to be a very expensive exercise. However, if you are a high net worth individual and if your estate is complicated, really complicated, maybe you have different properties and different business interests and all that, if it's a very complicated one, then you might benefit from having lawyers advise you on how to structure it, for example, for tax purposes, so that your beneficiaries are not left with this huge tax bill once you're gone. But that's generally for like I said, very high net worth individuals or individuals who have a very complicated estate. And then the third thing that I want to talk about is that, so I ran a poll on my Instagram asking people who follow me if they have a will, if they want to learn about a will, and I had two options there that says yes, I want to learn, and the other one was saying couldn't be bothered. And I found that a lot of young people couldn't be bothered about a will because I could be wrong, but I feel some of us think we haven't amassed enough anyway to write a will, right? So we're like, what will I even put in my will, And I think the sad third part, which is even for our parents and people who are older, is that we trust that those who we will leave behind, our family, our relatives, will handle our estate well. It is very prudent for you to write a will and to update it as you amass further wealth, or update it as you maybe get married and have kids, than for you to not have a will. Why? Because it can happen that as life goes on and you start amassing a lot of wealth and properties and all that, you end up forgetting to draft a will. And then what happens after that is that you die without a will, and then the fights that usually happen when someone dies and they don't have a will, and then families clawing possessions from each other, and it just becomes a mess. So no matter how young you are, no matter your situation or your financial position right now, I would advise you to just draft a will. And like I said, it can be a very simple will which just says, I leave everything to my husband, or I leave 50% to my husband, 50% to my kids. And then as you grow, it will be 50% of whatever you have, even if right now it's 50% of your clothes, but what that protects you when you start amassing wealth, and in case you forget, to update your will. Also, dealing with the issue of family, I'm sure most, if not all of us, have had incidents where a family member of ours has died, and there's just a lot of drama that happens in the family because uncle so and so and auntie so and kid so just want to take everything for themselves. And I think it's very important that for the sake of your loved ones, for the sake of the dignity of the family after you're gone, this is especially for parents, please just make sure that you draft a will, especially if you have children that need to be taken care of. We've heard instances where families just take, and the brothers and sisters of the deceased take whatever they take, and then the children are passed on to some guardian who is left with nothing, and then they grow up with nothing, yet their parents were wealthy when they are younger. So it's very, very important that you please draft a will so that you dictate how you want your possessions to be treated when you are gone. I cannot overemphasize the importance of doing that. Let's get straight into it. How do you actually draft a will? And the basic requirements of a will are that it must be signed on each page, right at the bottom of each page. And then it must be signed in the presence of 2 or more witnesses, right? So now let me clarify. In the presence of 2 or more witnesses, these witnesses cannot be people who will be beneficiaries or the executor of your estate. So for example, I cannot write a will and let my husband and maybe my sister sign if they are benefiting, if they are taking something, if they will get something from my estate when I'm gone. And the reason for this is to prevent or to protect against challenges in the future, because obviously now if my husband is a witness to my will, it's very easy for people to later challenge and say he had an undue influence on how I wrote my will, or he was there standing over me and making sure that I write my will in a certain way. So you need to make sure that your witnesses are people who are not getting anything from your estate, and also that your witnesses are not the people who you've trusted to execute your estate once you're gone. Who can execute your estate? It can be anyone you trust, it can be your friend that you trust, it can be family, but I would advise that you get an independent third party, and I would shy away from letting family become the executor of the estate, because that way they are easier to manipulate. I find that it's easy for a family executor to be like swayed by the emotions and influences of people. So I'll say get an independent third party or a friend who is not, who the family will respect, but who will not be swayed by the influences of the family. And then also you must be 16 and above to sign a will. So if you're under 16, you cannot execute or sign a will. Yeah, those are the basic requirements for a will. So what will you need to write your will? So you need the name and the ID number of the person who you want to execute your estate, so the executor of your estate. So the executor of your estate is going to make sure that things go according to plan. They're going to read your will, and they're going to make sure that your possessions are divided exactly the way you intended them to be divided. Secondly, if you're married, you're going to need the name and the ID number of your spouse, as well as your marriage certificate to prove that you're married, as well as the details about the community property system that you're married under, that is whether you're married in community of property or married out of community of property. And then if you have any children or dependents that you want to leave anything to, again, you need their name and their ID numbers or their birth certificate numbers and copies of those, so that they can be easily identified after you've bequeathed something for them in your will. And then in the same vein, if you have any grandchildren who are alive at the time, this is for our parents and our grandparents who might be thinking of drafting a will, make sure that you have the names, the IDs, or the birth certificate numbers of those grandchildren. And then if you have minor children, these are children under the age of 18, right? In some jurisdictions it might be 16, but I'll just round it off and say under the age of 18. It's important for you to choose a guardian for them. So what means is that this guardian is going to assume responsibility for those children, and also whatever it is that you bequeath to your children is going to go to the guardian, and then the guardian will administer those possessions or that estate until your children are of age and can handle those possessions for themselves. So it's important that you think about who you want to be the legal guardian of your kids, and it needs to be someone that you trust, someone that will not mishandle the funds, will not mishandle the legacy that you've left for your children. So you need to be very careful about that. And then if you're a person who's into charity as well, and you want to leave something for, I don't know, a charity or the church or some organization, also have details of those organizations. It could be like a company number or something like that, so that it's easy to identify that when you say you left this to ABC organization, who is ABC organization. And then if you have houses and immovable property, please make sure that there are copies of the title deeds of those properties that are attached to the will, so that again it's easy to figure out which, when you say I leave my house in such and such a place, it's easy for the executor to find out which house it is and identify it. And then if you have any insurance policies also that are part of the will, please make sure there's copies of that, because usually people don't know that we have insurance policies, right? And so you want it to be easy again for the executor and the beneficiaries to be able to trace down your insurance policies and be able to benefit them correctly. And then important also, you also need to have an inventory of your liabilities, so your debts. This is important because before things go out to beneficiaries, your creditors will need to be paid off. So it's important that the executor of your estate has an inventory of your liabilities, so that they know who you owe, so that they pay those off before they pay your beneficiaries, and then it doesn't become a load for your beneficiaries. So yeah, this is literally all that you need for you to draft your will. And after that, you put pen to paper and you get on it and you start drafting. So I'm going to leave a link below for a template of a will, so you can, it's a free link, so you can click on that link, you can download that that template, and you can use it to draft your will. You know, I'll put a picture of it somewhere, either here or to my left or to my right, so that you see just how simple a document it is. Great. And so after that, make sure that you make copies of your will and you give them to people that you trust. Let's say you have, I would advise again to find, if you can afford a lawyer, give one copy to a lawyer, or if you have friends that you trust, please just make copies of that and give them to your friends, and then keep the original in a very safe place, but have one person at least, who, one or two, I don't know, people who you can tell where your will is, so that when you have died, they'll be able to access it and make sure that it is read and utilized, and that your wishes upon your death are granted. And so yeah, this is really how simple and easy it is to draft a will. Please let's be wise. I think the Bible does say in clear terms that for the living know that they shall die. So writing a will doesn't mean that you wish death upon yourself or that your life is over. It literally means that as a wise person, you are aware of the fact that you're not going to be alive forever, and you want to put your house in order and to make sure that your family doesn't have any problems once you're gone. And I think at a time when people are mourning and, you know, are trying to get used to the new normal of not having you around, I think it's only fair that they have one less thing to worry about, that they don't have to start fighting over property, and you can just make sure that your loved ones will be taken care of when you are gone. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful. Please share with your people, and if it was helpful, please like the video as well. Please also, you know, take this word and educate your friends, educate especially your parents and your loved ones, so that they will also jump onto that bandwagon and also draft a will and make sure that their affairs are in order. Please again, like, share, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and click the notification bell so that you're notified each time that I upload a video. Have a good rest of the week and have a good weekend, and I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.